Hello, this is Dr. Mears. Today we're going to be solving one-step equations. So we're going to be filling in some blanks here, so fill them in as we go along. We're going to be doing inverse operations, and the inverse of multiplication is division, and the inverse of addition is subtraction. And we're going to be using inverse operations to solve equations. And remember, when you are solving an equation, an inverse operation is needed to move a term from one side of the equal sign to the other. And that's what we're going to be doing today. So if you need a moment to write those down, please pause the video and write them down. Okay, here we go. One-step equations. What we're going to have to do is solve for the variable. We need to find what number we can put into m to make the equation true or balanced. So let's find out. Here we have m plus 12 equals 10. Since this is being added to the variable, we need to do the inverse, which is subtraction. So we're going to subtract 12 from both sides of this equal sign. Rewrite the variable, rewrite the equal sign. Be careful, because if you lose your equal sign, you lose the problem and then you're done. So don't do that. 10 minus 12 is negative 2. Now we could check this. And remember, checking is when we put that negative 2 in, negative 2 plus 12 equals 10, and we check to make sure that both sides are balanced, and it is, because negative 2 plus 12 is 10. So that is checking it. I'm not going to go through and check all of these because we just had practice on checking. We're just going to go through to use inverse operations to solve. Okay, number 2. Negative 2 equals g minus 9. We're going to be adding 9 to both sides because the minus 9, we're subtracting it from that variable, and the inverse of subtraction is addition. That crosses out. What we do to one side of the equal sign, we do to the other. So negative 2 plus 9 is 7. So 7 equals g. Again, we can go back and we can try and check it, which it will work. Next, negative 7y equals negative 91. Now the negative 7 is linked to that y using multiplication. When you don't see a symbol in between here, that means multiplication. So they're just stuck together, like stuck them together like two pieces of bread. It's multiplication. So please try to remember that. The inverse of multiplication is division. So we're going to divide both sides by negative 7. The negative does go with that 7. Because we're not doing any addition or subtraction, we're doing division. So the sign goes with the number. So we have negative 91 divided by negative 7, and that's going to give us a positive 13. So y equals positive 13. Next, a divided by 9 equals negative 4. Now this sign right here, this little symbol, it's a division sign. So if we were doing division, we'd press the division sign in the calculator. So the a and the 9 are linked to each other by division. The inverse of division is multiplication. So I'm going to multiply by 9. It crosses it out. What I do to one side of the equal sign, I do to the other. So a equals negative 4 times 9, which is negative 36. Okay. Now this one looks a little bit different than this one because this one is 1/3 times x equals 10. And so what we need to do here is we need to, since this is multiplication, we need to divide both sides by 1/3. And it does cross it out, and x is going to equal. I'm going to take a moment to talk about dividing by a fraction. Here we are. We're at 1/3 x equals 10. We wanted to divide both sides by 1/3. That's out. So then we're going to get x is this. But now we have 10 divided by 1/3. When we divide a number by a fraction, what we do is we put that first number over 1 to turn it into a fraction. Division of fractions is really multiplication. Division of fractions is really multiplication of the reciprocal. The reciprocal is when the numerator becomes a denominator, the denominator becomes the numerator. So now we're multiplying by the reciprocal or the flip. 10 times 3 is 30. 1 times 1 is 1, and that's 30 over 1, which we can write as 30. Now there was an easier way to do this rather than going through all of that. We know our answer is going to come out to be 30. So instead of doing that, what we can do is this. We have 1/3 x equals 10. We know that this is linked by multiplication, and we have to divide. Dividing by a fraction is really multiplying by the reciprocal. So we can just flip it and multiply. The 3's cancel out, the 1's cancel out. What we have left is 1x equals, you could put that over 1 if needed, 10 times 3 is 30, 1 times 1 is 1, which does reduce to 30. Either way you want to do it is fine. It's just up to you, which would help you remember, which way would help you remember more. So over here, x equals 30. Okay, so we're going to try it again. So this way I did divide and I did get 30, but dividing is really multiplying by the reciprocal. 1/9 times w equals -8. I'm going to do it this other way where we multiply it by the reciprocal. So this is a 9 divided by 1. The 9's cross out. This is 9 divided by 1. So w equals, you may put that over 1 if you want. -8 times 9 is -72. 1 times 1 is 1, and it does reduce to -72. Okay, the last two. Oh, we know this one. Now we're just practicing multiplying by the reciprocal. 5 over 1, 5 over 1, k equals 60. 2 over 1, 2 over 1, m equals -18. So there we go. So we just practiced solving equations using one step. If you would like to review this, that's absolutely fine. We touched upon division of fractions, which really is multiplying by the reciprocal. Hopefully this helped. Now on to practice.